I think of us as still in the sort of reaccumulation phase of the market. You kind of get the bottom of the bear. You do this sort of burst upwards to confirm you're out of the bear market, and then it sort of chops around sideways as people reaccumulate coins, and then eventually it's full-on bull market. In that phase is anything can happen. You know, it can chop around wildly. We break all-time highs. You know, went from 70 now to almost 100 in no time flat. Consolidating underneath that by the looks. But sure, it can go past 100,000. We have our party, and then the whole thing could come back down to 70.
Although Bitcoin might experience a short-term drop to $70,000, its long-term potential remains undeniably bullish. That's the latest update according to renowned crypto on-chain analyst Willy Wu. Bitcoin recently exited what Wu refers to as the reaccumulation phase, a period marked by price stabilization, strengthening positions among long-term holders, and an influx of new investors. This phase culminated in an unprecedented surge past $100,000, showcasing how quickly market dynamics can shift. Wu warns of potential pullbacks to $70,000 in the near term, but these corrections are seen as part of Bitcoin's natural growth trajectory. The larger picture remains clear. Bitcoin's long-term trend continues to point toward a sustained bullish run. Make sure to watch the rest of this video where Willy Wu shares more insights into the state of crypto market. Also, if you enjoy listening to crypto-related content, please show your support by liking and subscribing to this channel by following the link in my bio. And get access to my free daily crypto updates and expert predictions direct to your inbox. Each newsletter contains market intelligence, on-chain data and latest updates from experts in the crypto space. All of this is available completely free of charge. Signing up only takes a moment, and you can always change your mind later on. Now back over to Willy Wu.
What are your thoughts on the current state of the Bitcoin market?
Oh, that's a broad one. Yeah, you know, it's quite every cycle. If there's one thing you can trust, is it changes, and so I mean that hasn't changed. That I'm like looking at, you know, what has changed with this market. Obviously, we had in the last cycle, you know, MicroStrategy coming in with corporate treasuries. Futures was a big part of the last cycle, and institutional hedge funds coming in. And so I think this cycle, just looking at the impacts of I think the key impacts right now, you know, MicroStrategy going on full flight on their Bitcoin acquisition, and then the BlackRock, in particular spot ETF, but the whole broad, collection of spot ETFs coming in and offering a very efficient way for TradFi to buy in. And so that's really changing the structure of the market. So looking at that type of impact, and you can see also, I'm looking at just how heavily hit the altcoin space has been with so much capital coming into Bitcoin, not necessarily rotating into altcoins. And just how absent retail has been in this cycle. I mean, it looks like they're just starting to come in the last 4 or so weeks, but it's been a ghost town. So yeah, just very interesting to see how much of each, you know, the structure of each cycle is changing, and you know, probably the hidden side is I'm kind of trying to figure out if you know, more of the sovereigns will come in, and maybe they are coming in, but quietly. This stuff is out there, and it is starting to roll out. And the interesting thing in this cycle is that the credibility of Bitcoin is post BlackRock is skyrocketing, and so we're starting to see banks come in and offer financing on your Bitcoin. You know, mortgage your Bitcoin, get some cash. Your Bitcoin's climbing at 20 to 80% annualize. Your interest rate might be 6% if you're tapping into TradFi loans. And so you get into an interesting situation where, you know, even these yield products now, because they are actually shares and hedge funds, I believe by the next cycle will be acknowledged by banks as collateral, just like you can front your MicroStrategy shares or your Apple shares at a brokerage and borrow US dollars. I think both the Bitcoins and shares in these types of funds can be a way of getting a Bitcoin mortgage. So it's like the best bet on the planet and even today, we've still got at least a 10x, 20x to go. And the chances of it winning are, I think well north of 90%. So it's just a ridiculous investment proposition. And I agree, it's just really quite different to see it all happening. To see these guys like Larry Fink talk about Bitcoin as the future. I came back from Switzerland just last month and I posted, the chief investment officer of a boutique private bank. I go there every year because we're partnered with this bank, and last year it was, we think Bitcoin is a really great investment, and here are the reasons why. 1 year later, the chief investment officer of this bank says, we think it's got the right properties right now to be the next global reserve currency. And it's quite a radical statement for a bank.
Where do you think we're at in the current cycle? Yeah, is it still just getting started? Are we potentially going to hit gold parity maybe even next year, or is it already in the later innings? How would you frame it?
I'd be surprised if we hit gold parity this cycle. But who knows? I know my friend Samson Mao thinks definitely 1 million this cycle. And of course, he's going around the world convincing nation states to buy this as a strategic reserve. And so maybe he sees something I don't. I haven't actually talked to him on the details of that. Structurally where we are, we haven't broken all-time highs. Sorry, we have, but we haven't broken the key 100,000. We broke the all-time high, but we didn't actually. Yeah, I think of us as still in the sort of reaccumulation phase of the market. You kind of get the bottom of the bear. You do this sort of burst upwards to confirm you're out of the bear market, and then it sort of chops around sideways as people reaccumulate coins, and then eventually it's full-on bull market, and then you get the top and the first of the bear, right? These are the phases I think of. We're still in reaccumulation phase, that's without a doubt. And in that phase is anything can happen. It can chop around wildly. We break all-time highs. Went from 70 now to almost 100 in no time flat. Consolidating underneath that by the looks. But sure, it can go past 100,000. We have our party, and then the whole thing could come back down to 70. All sorts of things can happen in the zone. Remember last cycle, it was like, whoa, we got past 10,000, everyone's feeling bullish, and then COVID hit and we dropped down to 4 very quickly, came back to 10, spent a lot of time at 10 before it sort of coiled up enough to really make its run. So the question is, what happens when we really make our run? And when will that be? And it's certainly not right now. It's still, like, in my opinion, relatively safe to buy in this phase of the market and reaccumulation because it hasn't made its run. And I have a risk signal that we use internally for our hedge fund, but it's really measuring how much capital is flowing into the network, and then estimating liquidity conditions of the market. And the thing is, the risk, it measures the risk on that, right? So the risk of drawing down, and usually the signal starts to go to it's either a 0 to 1 signal. It's usually 0 or 1, and it's transitions very quickly. It's still at 0, and it's been 0 pretty much the entire cycle. That's why I knew that we would break our all-time high without a doubt. But once it goes to 1, you got a few months before the thing tops, and we haven't even gone to 1 yet. So still, I think we're still warming up. And of course, as everyone who's been following this knows, it's likely going to be in the tail end of next year before we get that full-blown bull cycle. I expect the risks to start to climb as everyone goes DGN and everything starts to explode. But for now, it's still reaccumulation. Maybe we get past 100 before Christmas, but who knows? We're consolidating by the looks right now.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe for news and expert predictions direct to your inbox.